Hello, ladies and gentlefolk. My name is Frenegades, and welcome back to another video game review. It has been a while since I did something that wasn't WWE related, so here I am reviewing. I just got this today. Give me a second. The Walking Dead: A New Frontier. Let's read this. When family is all you have left, how far will you go to protect it? Alright, that's the theme of this game. But let's go over. The Walking Dead: A New Frontier is the third game, well, technically the fourth, but it's the third main game in the Telltale Walking Dead series. Series. It is counted as season 3, and the game follows behind Javier Garcia. It is the second season to not follow behind Clementine, mainly. Technically the third if you want to count Michonne. I actually recorded a Michonne review. I just can't remember. I gotta remember to edit it, if I even still have that footage. But anyways, it follows behind Javier Garcia and protecting his family. That's kind of the central theme around here. Really, how do you go about this? How do you go about this the right way? What is the new frontier? Who is Javier? Where is Clementine? Clementine is right here on the cover. So what is Clementine's role in this game? And how good is this game? The episodes, what are they like? Look, I'm going to answer these questions. Now, the first question I'm going to answer is, what are the episodes like? The episodes blend in with each other, if I'm just being honest with you. The first two episodes are part 1 and part 2. The episodes, some reason, are shorter, but they're less memorable. I mean, I remember the stuff that happens in these episodes, but if I were to be honest with you, if you were to show me a scene, I probably wouldn't be able to differentiate what episode it's from. Unlike the first season, maybe the second season, I'd be able to differentiate. I mean, like, season 2... I probably wouldn't be able to differentiate like episodes 4 and 5, but I'm able to differentiate like 1 to 3. I can differentiate season 4, but I can't really differentiate the episodes within this game. So let's go ahead and show you the characters. We have a walker right there. We have Clementine, her third game. She's about 13 years old. She's really angsty. Remember AJ from the Walking Dead season 2? Yeah, AJ is gone. AJ is missing. Clementine has been looking for AJ. Clementine thinks AJ is dead, but it turns out that he's not dead. He's at this ranch that these people put her in. Now, the answer, who are these people? The New Frontier. The New Frontier is basically this militia group, this community that is out in Richmond. It's either Virginia or West Virginia. I don't know. It's either one of the Virginias. I don't know why there's a Virginia and then there's a West Virginia instead of East Virginia and West Virginia. Like, you don't see Dakota and South Dakota. No, it's North Dakota and South Dakota. North Carolina, South Carolina. Why is there Virginia and West Virginia? I don't know. I don't care. We're going to continue on. Anyways, the New Frontier is this militia group that is community. It is this community out in, Richmond, Virginia. And they've been pulling out raids and stuff like that. They are pretty much the main antagonists. They are ran by 4 people. Joan, who was the head of everything. I can't remember exactly what her role was, but I think she was like leader in communications or something like that. You had Clint, who was the leader of all the food and stuff like that. You had Paul, Dr. Lingard, who is the leader for like medicine and the doctors and stuff like that. And then you have David, Javier's brother, who is the leader of security and weapons and stuff like that. You know, kind of like the army portion of the game. So the game kind of centers around Javier's relationship with his brother David. This really messed up rivalry or friendly kind of situation. Look, Javier is pretty chill. He was this immature baseball player who had it big, but he blew it because he started betting on, like, literally betting on his own team. And he got banned from the league and he had to go home. And he got banned from the entire baseball league. So yeah, but within the apocalypse, Javier basically toned down that carefree attitude and actually started taking care of his family, his brother's wife, that being Kate, who is right here on the cover, and Gabe right here on the cover, and they do not show Mariana because she ends up getting killed at the end of the first episode, unfortunately. But David's wife and kids, because David has gone missing for 4 years. So Javier has been pretty much taking care of the kids alongside Kate. And Javier's and Kate's relationship could either end up in platonic or romantic. Now, the game kind of pushes for it to be romantic, but you have several options throughout the game to like do something romantic, and then Kate will ask you out at the end of the game, and you can accept or decline it. Now, depending on how everything goes, like generally speaking, if you make romantic advances toward her and you decline her, she'll slap you. If you don't make any romantic gestures toward her and you decline her, she'll be pissed off, but she won't slap you. And if you make romantic, well, no matter what, if you accept it, then she'll be, she'll be happy or whatnot. But overall, Kate, I don't really care for her character. She's cool and all, but I don't really care for her. Her character just kind of seems like an anti-David and whatnot, But David, what is David? David is very aggro. He's very aggressive throughout the flashbacks in the game because there's a lot of them. David is essentially trying to abandon his family like a jackass, but yeah, he's trying to abandon his family. And then once the apocalypse hits, he's like, "Hey, I gotta hit the road, Jack, and I'm not coming back no more." But then once he sees his family again after 4 years, he's like, "Hey, I want to take care of my kids and my wife. This is my," like, he just immediately just gravitates toward them, and he's trying to leave everybody out of it. It's like, Javier, this is my family, not yours. Like, dude, I've been taking care of your family for 4 years, dude. Where were you? This isn't even my wife. This is your wife. You should have been taking care of her. But I get it. He wanted to leave because he and his wife were fighting. It's like, dude, just get a divorce or something like that. You probably don't want a second divorce because, the kids aren't even hers. Dude, you have two people that aren't even biological. Well, I mean, one of them is biological, but you have two kids that are not their biological parents taking care of two people that are taking care of your kids when they're not biologically related to them. I mean, Javier is their uncle, but still he's not their biological father, and yet you're still alive. You have the option to do that. But hey, that's not me. I'm not gonna judge them, but whatever we say. Now, what are the other characters like? Let me see. You have Eleanor. She's this doctor. She's really sexy. Well, I won't say sexy. She's really pretty, and she ends up betraying you at the end of the game because you have Conrad, who is the only truly determinate character throughout the Walking Dead series, where you have an option to kill him in the second episode. If you don't kill him, then he goes on to the third episode. If he doesn't die there, he'll go on to the fourth episode. If he doesn't die there, he go on to the fifth episode. And you know what? I respect it. Very few people initially left Conrad to even go to the end of the game. Even in the definitive series, where you go into the character model looker, there's a voice line where Conrad will just thank everybody that let him live to the end of the game. And I find it hilarious. But anyways, the characters are pretty trash. I mean, there's Trip, who's kind of like Kenny, but way less aggro. There's Ava, who's Molly 3.0, the strong, independent woman who ends up getting killed in a super stupid way if you let her, if she ends up surviving episode 4. She ends up getting, She ends up getting like falling to her death because of a walker, and it's really stupid. But overall, a lot of these characters have a lot of issues. Clint is basically just a yes man. He's basically like one of those bystanders that let things happen because he's too scared to do anything about it. Joan is basically like Hitler. She's like one of those those generic dictators that they have for The Walking Dead, because for some reason they decided, hey, we can just have a community dictator. You have the Delta in season 4, you have Randall and Michonne, you have Carver in season 2, you have Oberson in season 1. But Joan, I would say Joan is probably the second most charismatic, well, actually the most charismatic. The reason why I say this is because Joan still has this kind of charm, where she's not just a complete psycho, like off the jump, like how Carver is. How Carver, you see him coming off, and he's kind of conniving at first. He's pretty charismatic. He kind of leads you in with like this kind of warm feeling, but he's also super uneasy. But in the moment he's really empowered, then he starts acting like a psycho, breaking people's fingers and killing people. But Joan is not really like that. Joan is more what is the word, meticulous, I think it is, more calculating, essentially. You know, she has a plan, she has plans and stuff like that, and she basically she kind of just charms her way into getting people to turn their backs on Javier, on Kate, on Gabe, who is on Gabe, and even David, to getting kicked out as leader, you know, and it's really crazy. But overall, I can't really talk about the plot because I don't want to spoil it or nothing like that. At least spoil anything super major. But there are the choices. The choices are really not it. The choices are kind of stupid at sometimes, you know. As I mentioned, Ava has one of the dumbest deaths in the game if you let her live until episode 5. But Clementine, what does Clementine serve? What is her role? So Clementine's whole story is that she has to get AJ back because during one of her flashbacks, depending on the ending that you get in season 2, either if you took the Wellington ending, then Wellington ends up getting raided. If you took the Kenny ending, Kenny ends up crashing a car and ends up getting paralyzed and eaten by walkers. Jane commits suicide because she ends up getting pregnant. Like, Clementine walks in the room and she finds Jane just hanging there. Like, Jane just went off. Jane went off, found some rope, tied it in a noose, hung herself. She done for. She Judas Iscariot it herself. But anyways, you gotta kill Jane after that. You know, her walker stuff. She's hanging from the ceiling on a rope. She's like, and Clementine just has to shoot her. So basically, Jane was like, hey. But Jane got pregnant because in season 2 she had sex with Luke. She got caught having sex with Luke, or caught after having sex with Luke. I don't know. But anyways, then you have the Alone ending, where I actually don't know. I've never seen the cutscenes or anything like that. And frankly, I'm not interested in the Alone ending. But something happens where Clementine's hand gets slammed in a door and she ends up losing her finger. So, yeah, it is. But you'll see some very differences. I don't think you'll see anything like physically unless you get the Jane ending, which she has a tattoo of. She has a AJ tattoo on her thumb, I think. And then if you obviously if you took the Alone ending, she'll have a missing finger, I think. So, you know. But anyways, Clementine's role is basically back to being a deuteragonist like how she was in the first game. Clementine is way more hardened by the survival, and she just has this like basic, I won't say a revenge mission, but she kind of runs into Javier. She teams up with Javier. And, you know, but honestly, there's a lot of, well, not a lot, but there's some decisions in here that, they are basically pro-Clementine and anti-Clementine. And a lot of people see this game as bad. And that's because they usually pick the pro-Clementine options. Look, the game is not going to be that interesting if you pick the pro-Clementine options, like, obviously. And just realistically, Javier is a man in his 30s. Why is he vouching so much for a 13-year-old? Anyways, I mostly picked the anti-Clementine options, you know. But, you know, that made the game a little more interesting for me. But overall, do I think this game is good or bad? A few things that I can say are good. The whole story premise is good. What's bad is the execution. There's a lot of stuff that's wrong with this, and I think I just kind of went over some of the stuff that's wrong with it. But then you have the graphics. The graphics are pretty good. They changed the art style from a more comic booky style to more kind of realistic, but it's still, you know, in an art style. You know, I like the designs of some of these characters. They also have some characters from they have a character from the comic books, that being Paul Monroe. Look, I'm not calling that man Jesus, okay? I'm not calling him that. But we have Paul Monroe, and he's pretty badass. He's pretty sweet. He's kind of just there sometimes, but he's a pretty decent character, you know. I like him a lot. No homo. But anyways, what else could I say about this game? The plot, the writing for it is pretty bad at times. I will admit that. But overall, it's also pretty good at times, you know. Clementine's whole story, I will say this. This whole season, you could skip it because nothing in the games, like, really affects, like, none of the characters, aside from Clementine and AJ, none of the characters are seen outside of this game, so yeah. But if you want to know Clementine's whole story, then sure, you can play this game. It's definitely necessary if you want to know, like, the full context of the game, because if you don't play this game, You're not getting the full picture. But a lot of people say to skip it. I wouldn't say skip it. I really wouldn't say skip it, but you gotta kind of play this. Like, even if Clementine isn't playable outside of her own flashbacks, you still gotta kind of play it. It's necessary for the story of her. So yeah, especially if you want to follow up with the season 2 overall, because yeah. But overall, the final choice as well is pretty impactful. Basically, out of Kate, David, and Gabe. I forgot to mention Gabe, but Gabe is a teenager. He's like 14 in this game. People find him insufferable. He's just going through the motions, like how typical teenagers go through, especially like in their early teens, like 13 up to like 16, But, I don't find Gabe to be that annoying in a sense, but some people find him annoying, and I completely understand. But I will say this: if Gabe dies at the end of the game, it's really depressing. I will admit that. At the end of the game, depending the characters that can be alive, depending on your choices, Dr. Lingard, but he's not like super impactful to the game. Conrad is not super impactful, but he's somebody that can live on. Who else? So when it comes to the final decisions and whatnot, like the final major decision, that determines the ending of the game, the combination of characters that can survive is Kate alone, Gabe alone. Wait, can Gabe survive alone? I don't remember, but Kate alone, Gabe alone, I think. Gabe and David, and Kate and Gabe. David does not survive alone at all, so yeah. But overall, I think the story is pretty good. I do like it more than season 2, but not that much. As far as me liking the game, I think it's just very middle ground. I gave The Walking Dead season 2 a 4 out of 10. I think I'd give this a 5, I guess. So yeah, I guess I'll give it a 5. It's not that great. It's pretty middle ground, but it's not terrible like some people say. It's not like this boring slog like you say. Like, at times it can be boring, but that's just unfortunate for a Telltale. This is where Telltale, I feel like they were getting some fatigue because they had so many IPs and whatnot. So yeah. Now, if you want to look for this game is available for. This game was released for the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, as well as Steam, of course. It was re-released for the Walking Dead collection in 2017. This game, I forgot to mention, was initially released in 2016, I think. So yeah, and it was re-released again in 2019 for the Definitive Series. So yeah, overall, 5 out of 10. Mid-game. I'm not too big on it or anything like that. But I will see you tomorrow for a live stream. Have a blessed day. Jesus loves you. And I'll see you for another review soon. Goodbye!